This is the Mark Dolan Way. Top tips for mind, body and soul, some great life hacks, and my favourite products of the week. This show is available on all podcast platforms, or you can watch it. Just subscribe to the Mark Dolan Way on YouTube and join the Facebook group. Enjoy. Hello and welcome to the show. I hope you are very well. Have you had a good week? I hope so. Lots to get through today, lots of inspiration, lots of top life hacks. I'm very excited with what I've got for you. I'm first going to update you on the fridge. So this is part 2 of the fridge saga. Don't worry, if you missed the last episode, I can easily recap. The idea of this show is that you can listen to any episode and it's self-contained. Right? I can't bear those series where you've got to watch every show from the start. I don't have time. I don't have energy. I don't have the attention span. I love a self-contained episode. So even though this is part 2, I'm going to recap for those that haven't heard episode 65. And for those of you that know the story, you're going to enjoy it and hear it again, because who doesn't like to have a repeat story? When I was a child, I was obsessed with reading the same book over and over again, listening to the same joke over and over again. Children love repetition. My favourite example of that is, and I've mentioned it on the pod before, so let's repeat it. I loved the film Star Wars, which was the first Star Wars in the 70s with Luke Skywalker and the others. Princess Leia. And I had a VHS recording of this Star Wars movie. One summer holidays, I literally watched that movie every day. I just wake up in the morning, have my breakfast and fire it up just every day. I never tired of it. I found it to be frictionless, if that makes sense. And by the way, that is my definition of art, of great art. Is with great art, you can just consume it over and over again, and it is not subject to any attrition, to the laws of gravity, to friction. It doesn't wear out. It's amazingly perennial. Great art is perennial. You can go and look at the Mona Lisa every day for the rest of your life and see something new and not tire of it. And that could be the same for a Beatles song, a good one at least, like In My Life. A Day in the Life, is that what it's called? No, In My Life. I love that song. I can hear that. I could listen to In My Life every day, once a day, forever. I wouldn't tire of it. There would be no metal fatigue. What other things? It's a good question. What other things could I consume every day that I wouldn't tire of? I think I could watch the Pink Panther films. The Pink Panther Strikes Again. I think I could watch that every day and not tire. Inspector Clouseau. Peter Sellers is incredible acting. There are certain books I could read every day. The actor Ian McKellen, who's a great actor, isn't he? Let's be honest. He's got his chops as an actor. I've always said that anyone can act, but only a small number of people can act really well. I always think that anybody can just go, "Hey, Deborah, I love you." And then bang, it's like, there you go. You've just acted. You just said, "Hey, Deborah, I love you." You've read out lines written by someone else, but brilliant acting is quite rare. And he reads Shakespeare every day. He doesn't tire of it. In fact, for him, it's like the Bible, and he dips back into it. So I used to watch Star Wars. This one summer, I watched Star Wars every day. And then a relative came in, like some uncle or something, or a family friend came in and said, "Oh, did you know there are 2 others? There's like The Empire Strikes Back and The Return of the Jedi. I can get you a copy of that if you like, of those, the other 2. And I said, "No, thanks. I'm really happy with this one." And I find that extraordinary looking back on it, that as a kid, I've loved this film. And there are 2 more and I have no need for them because this is the one I like. How amazing is that? That's weird, isn't it? But I love it because it's kind of the opposite of the consumerist mindset of like, give me more product. I was like, no, thanks. I have my movie and it's the Star Wars. And that's all I need is that. I mean, I just find it amazing that I had zero. And honestly, to this day, I'm not convinced I've seen any of the other Star Wars films, having watched the first one relentlessly. I'm genuinely amazed by that. But that's how I was. And it's because kids love repetition. But I think repetition is quite good for all of us. I think there's something comforting about it. So I think if you're struggling, you might want to go and watch an episode of a sitcom that you've seen a million times. Or watch a stand-up routine on YouTube that really hits the spot for you. Or listen to a certain piece of music. Or reread a book. I have a friend that when they are not happy or going through a tough time, they reread Harry Potter. How cool is that? You know, they just go through the trials and tribulations of life and they're having maybe a tough time and they just immerse themselves in the world of Harry. And it will always be there for them. Lovely line from Bruce Springsteen about music. He said, "The great thing about a song is it stays written." Isn't that a great sentiment? It stays written. So it's just there forever. That's why art is so good for us. And in a couple of episodes ago, I was telling you that there are so many things which are like a drug, which are free and healthy and natural. And I mentioned exercise, creativity, being out in the sun, nature, that sort of thing. Wearing clothes that lift your mood. So many natural, healthy things that are like a drug, that do change your mood, but which are not harmful or in fact are good. Well, music is probably the best example of that, where music will change your mood. But the great thing about music, a song stays written. The work of Mozart is permanently there and at our disposal. Isn't that great? I love it. So art is very permanent. Anyway, how did we get onto that? I'd love to know. Oh, yes, because of the joy of repeating stories. So let me repeat what happened very briefly with the fridge. I have one of those. You buy a fridge, okay, and it comes with a warranty, doesn't it? Sometimes it's a year, but I quite often find now with new devices, washing machines, fridges, quite often it's a 3-year or even a 5-year guarantee. And why would that be? Well, the reason is the technology is just very good these days. The components are very high quality and very reliable. And so it tends to be that things like washing machines and fridges last a long time and don't break. They're all built on a production line by robots with parts that have been stress tested over many years, and these devices have evolved to become perfect, really. These days, things like fridges and washing machines, they only really break with wear and tear. It's like my Prius. I have a 14-year-old Prius, and every time I take it to the garage for its service, the only costs are wear and tear. So it's like the tires and the brake pads, but the machine, the hybrid system on the Prius and all the electronics and everything, it just works. It never goes wrong, touch wood. Just had a big guzzle there of my fizzy water because it's the morning and that's when I do all my hydrating. I don't know if this is good or not. I am not a doctor, remember that, but I don't do well with a lot of hydration in the afternoon and evening. What happens is that if I hydrate in the afternoon and particularly the evening, then I've got to keep waking up to go to the bathroom in the night. And also I have, for some reason, feel rubbish the next day. It seems to really affect my sleep, not just the interruption, but actually somehow the digestive system when I'm sleeping on it. So I don't get on well with hydration in the afternoon and the evening. So I really taper off the fluids from, you won't believe this, from about lunchtime, early afternoon. But I do understand the importance of hydration, so I just do it in the morning. I have very weak coffee, so there's actually a lot of fluids there. Did you know that coffee is hydrating? Unless it's like an espresso. If you're having just a normal coffee, it still counts as hydration. So don't let people tell you that it doesn't. Yes, caffeine, tea and coffee is a diuretic, which makes you wee, but you still get a surplus, right? It's still fluid. And in fact, I've got family relatives in Ireland who lived off and do live off tea. You know, I've got sort of aunties and cousins and stuff, and they just mainline tea all day. In the 70s and the 80s, that's all people had in the UK and Ireland was just tea. They lived on tea. I don't remember people drinking water in the 80s. There was no water drinking. It was tea. It wasn't even coffee. It was just the kettle was always on. The pot was always full. And orangeade and lemonade and stuff like that. I mean, I can't say it was a healthy time. I'm not going to say that it was. But I do my hydrating in the morning because then it doesn't affect sleep, doesn't affect the evening. And that's what I do. So that's why I'm just guzzling. I probably drink about, in the morning, about a litre of fluid. That's not bad, is it? Oh, come on, guys. That's plenty. That is plenty. And then I only really drink anything in the afternoon, evening if I'm thirsty. There you go. Crazy. Call me old-fashioned. So the fridge. Technology now is very good. You often get a guarantee, and that's free. It's a warranty. So I had that on this fridge, which is called an it was years ago. It was just a fridge. I bought a fridge, and then it had the free warranty. And then I got a letter after maybe 3 years or 5 years saying your warranty has finished, but if you want, you can continue the warranty by paying us a monthly fee. And it used to be very cheap. It was like £2.50 or £3. And I just thought, well, do you know what? That's kind of handy to have that cover. So I paid this monthly subscription, which kept the warranty going. And it included any aspect in which the machine is not working or accidental damage. Although I don't know how you accidentally damage a fridge because they're big and solid and heavy, normally tucked into a unit in the kitchen. They're very stable. How would you break a fridge? That would be going some, wouldn't it? To like drop a fridge. You can't drop a fridge. Fall onto it. Accidentally tear the door off. Set it on fire. It ain't gonna happen. It's not. It ain't gonna happen. It ain't gonna happen. You're not gonna. How the hell do you accidentally damage a fridge? Just think about that for a minute while I drink some more fluid. 1 second. Have a think. How do you damage a fridge? It ain't gonna happen. By the way, it sounds like do you think it sounds like I'm guzzling beer? Imagine if it was beer. I've done a few podcasts where I just sat and drank beer and talked to you. And it was notable that I did one podcast last summer and I was in Italy. So kind of like it was a holiday special. I took the microphone with me and everything. And I think I did at least 2 hours. That's what happens when you drink beer and do your podcast at the same time. But we are vigorously sober today. And what a joyful thing that is. By the way, if you want to not drink, or if you're desperate for reasons not to drink, or if you're someone that doesn't drink and you're struggling not drinking and craving alcohol, because I do drink occasionally, but essentially it's a toxin, it's not good for you. There are no plus points really. It's in my life because it's just kind of fun to have beers sometimes with friends, family, just very occasionally. Like it's got very occasional now for me, maybe once every 3 weeks, if that, and on holiday. So I don't really think I need to taper it off any more than that, do I? I don't need to exit entirely from the world of booze. I don't think so. But I don't see it as compatible with normal daily life. Now, this is not a lecture to you, because if you're somebody that can drink every day, and I know so many productive people and they have a glass of wine with their dinner or whatever. I mean, I know some people that are very lucky with great genetics who can drink loads and wake up the next day, feel like an absolute newborn baby and go and have a great day. And I envy them, and I'm not one of those people. So it's not a lecture. The kind of once every 3 weeks rule, or every 4 weeks / and on holiday, is purely because that's what works for me. Do you know what I mean? It's like my fluids thing. It doesn't work for me to like just drink a half a litre of water in the evening. For some reason, I'm a mess the next day. Well, it doesn't work, so I don't do it. And other people do and can, and that's fine. Do you know what I mean? You listen to your body and it's like, does this work for me or does it not? Who cares about the others? So that's my mechanism now. That works for me. And so there you go. So I have been alcohol free now for a couple of weeks, and I've got to say, I do feel the better for it. And I don't have any holidays planned. So this could be a very sober few weeks ahead. And why not? Someone's got a new job who I know and like, and he's having a party, like a leaving do. And I'm going to go and I will not have an alcoholic drink. And it'll be great. I'm not going for long anyway. I'm just putting my head around the door for half an hour. It's perfect. Just say hi. So the fridge. So I kept the insurance going for this fridge. And it's very lucky I did, because the door started breaking. For some reason, the door you'd open the door and it would click down. Anyway, it became a saga. It was clearly a design flaw of the fridge, because I got through 3 doors, all on warranty through the insurance. Over a course of a few months, I got through 3 doors. And they admitted that the door was a faulty design, otherwise it wouldn't keep happening. And after the 3rd door broke, was it the 4th? I lose track now. But anyway, they condemned the machine. That means they said, we can't fix it. So they said, because of the insurance, if they can't fix it, you choose a similar fridge of similar quality, brand new. It's great. So I chose one that arrived. And it was an LG, and it's an amazing fridge. It's completely silent. It's got a special compressor like this, the motor inside, which has a 20-year guarantee. That's how much confidence they have in it. 20-year guarantee. So LG is a very good company. And so that was really great, beautiful fridge. It was black. Weirdly enough, I wanted a silver one, because we've always had silver fridges. I don't know where you stand on, your options are black, silver and white. And I always used to go for silver. But the best fridge available happened to be black. I could have got a silver one, which was an inferior model. I was like, I want the best fridge. So I just rolled the dice and got black. And actually we were very happy with it. And we were quite content to have a black fridge. It's actually very smart. So this thing was really good, a faultless, perfect fridge. And I had it for 3.5 years. It's still running. It's now under warranty. I think the warranty ran out after maybe 3 years, 2 or 3 years. And I carried it on, because that's what I do. Because last time I did that, I got a free fridge, didn't I? So I think you'll agree. If you do the maths, if a fridge is like 700-800 quid, that's more value than the cost of sort of 3, 4, 5 quid a month. So I'm very happy that that fridge worked. Anyway, all that happened was very minor. I got one of the drawers had a crack in it in the freezer. And the lowest shelf also kind of broke. I mean, I guess you could call that accidental damage. So maybe in a sense I did accidentally break a fridge, but I don't know why. But for one reason or another, I would suggest, by the way, poor build quality, like not that the plastic's not thick enough, not solid enough. But essentially, I don't know if it was a bottle or something, but something kind of caused the lowest shelf of the fridge door to like snap or break. So what I had to do is I had to chuck it, because you can, it's very easy to take the shelf off of a fridge door. You just lift it off. And then I took one of the higher ones and put that at the bottom. The problem you got is that the other shelves, which are not the lowest, are a bit shallower. And it means that if you open the door really quickly, any of the bottles that are on that shelf just fall on the floor. And one landed on my wife's foot. So I thought, okay, this is a hazard. So I called the insurers and I said, look, we love our fridge. It just needs 2 parts. It needs the oven, it needs the freezer drawer, and it needs the fridge shelf. And they went, yeah, no problem. We'll order the parts or whatever. I then get an email saying, we could not repair your machine. Please choose a new one. So that was the crazy plot twist. A perfectly good working fridge, which is now going to be thrown away, and I'm going to get a new one. First of all, that's bad for them. They've lost a lot of money on that one, because they gave me a new fridge 3.5 years ago. Now they're giving me another new fridge. That's way more than the subscriptions that I have been paying. And what I did is I went online. I found the fridge similar size, whatever, but also then I looked for, because quite a few they offered me, and I just wanted to get the most expensive one because I'm not paying. I think that's wise, isn't it? Isn't that sensible? I'm not paying. I'll get the most expensive one. It's like, let's say you go out for dinner. Let's say you go to a corporate event or something, and the company's paying. You're going to have the fillet steak, aren't you, and the best wine? I would have thought. Someone else is paying. Come on. Someone else is paying. So, Incredible. Found a device, £1,350 listed on the John Lewis website. I beg your pardon. Who the hell spends that? Only Bill Gates spends that on a fridge. Well, we did it. So I've got an update for you, right? So I didn't want to throw away the old fridge because it works so well. First of all, that's environmentally disgraceful. It's unjustified. Someone could use it. I offered it to a friend who was half interested and then didn't want it, which is fair enough. They considered it but realised they were quite happy with their fridge, which is fair dinkum, which means fair enough in Australian. Oh, I've never been to Australia, and I think I need to go at some point. I went to New Zealand, which I think has great potential as a country, but I was in Auckland, which I found an uninspiring city. Can I just say that? And the only thing that excited me is that they sell a lot of merino wool garments. And there's basically a street in Auckland which sells, just fleeces and leggings and long johns and socks, all crafted out of merino wool, which I just love. So that was the one good thing about Auckland. I suspect that it's the rest of New Zealand, which is the great bit, all the nature stuff, I've got no doubt. And I bet you I've got listeners in New Zealand. So listen, do you know what I mean? My mind is open. My mind is open to NZ. So I think when I go to Australia, I'm going to include New Zealand and I'm going to do Australia as well. And why don't I do a Mark Dolan Way World Tour? Should we do that? Are you in? Who's in? The Mark Dolan Way World Tour. Would you come? Coming to a town near you. Maybe as a stunt, I could accidentally destroy a fridge on stage. Just get someone to wheel a fridge on and I sort of accidentally break it. We can just detonate it at the end of the show as a little stunt. And it will be an insured fridge. It means I'll get sent a new one. Right, fridge time. So I'm absolutely delighted. So I've got to get rid of this old fridge. Now the pressure's on, right? Because I've got the old fridge is there and it's like a Friday. And I think that this person in my life is going to take it. So I'm like, great, problem solved. New fridge is coming on Monday. It's now Friday. And I'll get rid of the old fridge and bring the new one in. Because, of course, the whole point is you don't want that crossover because I've got lots of food in the fridge. I've got stuff in the freezer, got stuff in the fridge. I don't want it to get ruined by being outside of a fridge for too long. So I kind of need a really seamless transition where I can just switch off I'll probably get the new fridge delivered first. And then when the person comes, switch off the old one and get the food out, yada, yada. Well, this person decides they don't want the fridge, which is no problem. So now how am I going to get rid of it? And I was very busy this weekend. So what I did is on Friday, I called around and I had no success with fridge shops. I'm offering my fridge to them. Would you like to buy a secondhand fridge? They go, no, we don't buy fridges. Oh, no. I thought they would. A secondhand fridge shop. Surely, how do they get their secondhand fridges if they don't buy them? How does that work? So I'm having no success with the internet and the phone calls. And then I try again on Saturday. A bit more time on Saturday morning and I'm phoning around and I'm calling fridge shops which are further away. Like the Outer Hebrides of Scotland. No, not quite that far, but anyway, but less and less close to where I live. And I called one guy and he was called Ali. And he's like, what went wrong with Ali? What went wrong with Ali? Ali asked me to send him some pictures of the fridge. I thought, we're in here. I've cracked the code. I'm about to sell the fridge. I'm just getting the WhatsApp messages up because I think I'd like you to know what Ali said. I don't know why it takes so long for WhatsApp to actually load. On the computer. I mean, these computers are incredibly powerful and fast. It's a MacBook Air, which I love, by the way, because it's got no fan in it. So it's perfect for the podcast. When I started this podcast, I used to have this ancient MacBook Pro, which sounded like a combine harvester when you switched it on. The bloody fan, but they got rid of the fan. It's just fanless. How great is that? It doesn't heat up because it's just so... The chip is so good. Right, let's find Ali. And I'm going to read you his message because it's a bit of a saga, but it's got a happy ending. So I've even saved this guy, his name, on my WhatsApp, and I've got him as Ali Fridge Guy. Anyway, I sent him the pictures. Here's my LG fridge. And then he replied, he was interested on the phone, but I sent him my address. And then he said, "Hi, Mark, sorry, it's a bit far from my shop." And I said, "No worries. Do you know anyone else that might be interested? Another shop, ? "Not really," he said. I replied, "No worries. Thanks, Ali. Have a good day," with the prayer symbol. I find the prayer symbol quite nice. So I'm having no success, guys. The pressure's on. It's now Saturday. I've got a new fridge coming on Monday, and I will be in big trouble domestically if there are two fridges in the house because we don't have that much space, and they are both big units. This place is absolutely not built for two fridges, okay? I'm not in America. There is no garage where the fridge would go. And by the way, that is so where the fridge would go. If I lived in America, there would be a fridge in the garage. There would. That's a deal breaker for me. I would have a big fridge in the kitchen, and then there would be another fridge in the garage. And that would be a backup fridge. And that would contain beer for when I have alcohol every 3 to 4 weeks. Or for parties, and I'd have just other stuff in there. I don't know what I'd have, but it would be full. The freezer would be full of dead animal. It would be amazing. Just chunks of lamb, a pig's head. Knock yourself out. Anyway, so look, I'm calling around. But I'm persistent, and this is a big rule for the podcast today. Be persistent, right? Keep going, keep trying. Partly the pressure of making sure that someone takes this fridge was a motivating factor. Anyway, I called another shop. And they said, "No, we don't buy fridges." And then I said to them, "Do you know anyone?" Ask for help in life, guys. Ask for help. I said, "Do you know anyone else that could take it off my hands?" And he said, "Yeah, actually, there's a guy that is always interested in buying fridges. He's called Ali." It's another Ali, guys. It's literally another Ali fridge guy. So I took his number. I go, "Thank you so much for going. I really appreciate that." So I'm like a detective looking for leads, and asking witnesses, "Did you see anything?" I'm being really, really persistent and dogmatic. So I can tell you that I then call the other Ali, who I've now saved on my phone as Ali Other Fridge Guy. All right? So there's a second Ali. You've got Ali Fridge Guy and Ali Other Fridge Guy. I'm going to keep both their numbers in my phone. I think it's nice. It's good to have a big contacts book, don't you think? In the world of white goods. So I call Ali, the other fridge guy, and I said, "Hi, Ali, would you be interested in buying a fridge?" And he said, "Oh, I'm always interested in having fridges." So great. I said, "Let me send you some pictures. Let me know if you like it." I sent him pictures. And he called me back and he said, "Yep, I'll have your fridge." Now, weirdly, we didn't discuss money because I'm too polite. But I was hoping to get maybe £100 for the fridge because it's probably a 700-800 quid fridge. So I think 3.5 years old, mint condition. I think it's not unreasonable to hope for 100 quid. But I somehow didn't say anything about the money because it just felt like, I don't know, he didn't mention it and I didn't mention it. But I did use the word buy. I want to buy my fridge. But he's like, I'll have your fridge, or I'll take your fridge. He used very sort of broad language about it. So what happened is I left it and he said, "I'll call you on Monday and let you know what time I'm coming around." So the good news is he has agreed to take the fridge. So the fridge is going. And the great news is that the new fridge is coming in the morning and he's going to come in the afternoon, evening. So it means I can make sure I do have a fridge before he then takes the old one. Also, when you buy a new fridge, it needs about 4 hours to settle, okay? That there are these fluids, these oils, these chemicals in the fridge. And when you move a fridge around, you've got it horizontal, or even if you're just bumping it around, these fluids inside are very delicate, or whatever they are, sensitive. And it just the fridge needs to be still for a good few hours before you plug it in. Otherwise, it can affect the compressor. And I do not want any more fridge problems. Do you know what I mean? So when the new fridge did come, I left it. I actually let it stand for, I basically manhandled it into where it had to go, which is inside a kind of kitchen unit. I kept it unplugged and I waited about 6 hours before plugging it in. Perfect. So it's had the perfect start in life. And I've got Ali coming in the late afternoon, evening. So he calls me in the morning and says, I'll be around between 4 and 7. Okay. These people, they never give you a more specific time, do they? Are they really that busy that they have to keep it that vague? 3-hour window? Could you not narrow it down to a 60-minute window? Is that too much to ask? I mean, when you plan your day, you're like, I'm seeing Stephanie for lunch at 1, then I'm having a meeting with Bob at 2:30, and we can be quite specific about where we're going to be when. Why do these engineers and other characters have to be so unspecific? Imagine being married to a fridge repair guy and he's like, oh, darling, I'd like to take you out for dinner tonight. We'll eat between 6 and 10. I might call you when I'm on my way to the restaurant. No, it's rubbish, isn't it? Isn't that rubbish? Thanks, but no thanks. So anyhow, that's fine. And I pluck up the courage. Ali called me in the morning. Ali, the other fridge guys, called me. And I said to him, I plucked up the courage to raise the issue of money. I said, oh, by the way, we didn't really talk about the finances. Do you know how much you will be able to give me for the fridge? And he went, oh, I can't give you any money for the fridge. At this point, I mean, the negotiation's going very badly, isn't it? Money hasn't been mentioned. I said I want him to buy it. And now he's telling me that he won't give me any money. So that's awkward. And I said, well, do you not, I'd take 50 quid, 100 quid. And he said, listen, he was very smart. I mean, I completely lost the negotiation. He said, oh, listen, he said, you can list it on, I think there's a marketplace on Facebook or something. He said, you can list it on Facebook Marketplace. And if you're lucky, you might get 50, 70 quid. He said, I've got no problem with you putting it on Facebook. And I'm getting, you might be able to get that if you want to make some money. And I just thought about it. I thought, am I really going to list this fridge on the Facebook Marketplace? How many people on the Facebook Marketplace are near me, have access to a van and the skills to collect a 2-meter fridge? When you go from my kitchen where the fridge is and you get it out the house, you have to go down 3 steps. So you got to move this fridge down 3 steps and out the house. It's not that easy. So they'd need a van, they'd need a wheelbarrow, they'd need to know what they were doing. And they'd need to do that by Monday. Oh, no. They'd need to, it's urgent, isn't it? I mean, what would have happened is if I'd done that, listed it on Facebook Marketplace or whatever, I would have then waited days. I'd have had 2 fridges in the house because the new fridge was already there at this point. So what do? 50 quid, 70 quid. Technically, if you sell something, don't you have to pay tax on that? So then what am I left with? And the hassle and the messages from people asking for more information, and maybe they come round and they don't like the look of it. Or what if they take it home and then they spot a bump that I didn't know about and they said, I paid you 50 quid for this thing and I found a bump on the back. And then I also thought, what if they buy it and then it blows up and burns their house down? I mean, I know this is a good fridge and everything, but what happens if it just explodes? Am I in trouble and I've sold it to them? So there's I realize it might sound like I'm catastrophizing, but I think there's far too much jeopardy involved. So I have decided not to do that. And I've decided that I will compromise and be grateful for the fact that Ali is going to take the fridge off my hands. Okay. That in the end is, yes, money would have been nice, but what was the number one priority? It was to get rid of the fridge. And the number one priority is to make sure that the fridge was not broken up and thrown away and chucked into landfill, because we know that that fridge has many years of life. It's a 20-year guarantee on the compressor, if that's what it's called, which is the main bit of the fridge. So really, that fridge has probably got another 16 years of life to go. And Ali's taken it now, and it's going to go to a very happy home. Somebody will be paying a small amount for that fridge. I would imagine Ali is probably in his shop. He's probably selling it for 100, I would have thought. Maybe 120, 125, maybe 150 if he's feeling ambitious. But it's going to go to a happy home, and they're going to love that fridge because I loved it. He might even replace the shelves. He'll probably, Ali will sort something out. He's not messing around, that guy. And so it was a very joyous experience. The whole day was good. I got up early because the new fridge was arriving between, as the usual thing, between 7:25 and 10:25. So that's annoying, isn't it? Because I had a late night on Sunday and I could have had a lie-in. If I'd known they were coming at 10, I could have just set my alarm for 9:30, but it's any point from like 7:25 onwards. Now, the doorbell could go at 7:25. You don't want to be in bed at that point. You've got men coming into the house. You need to be sort of alert and ready. And also there's stuff to do, like, I don't know, moving the old fridge out the way, things like that. So what I hilariously had to do is get up at 7, get almost no sleep, up at 7, drink coffee because I can't do anything before the coffee. And then at that point, I pulled the fridge out and got it ready for the lads got the space ready for the lads to put the new one in. And it's lucky I got up early because at exactly 7:30, the doorbell goes. And a man with a very heavy Eastern European accent comes in. And then with another man with a more British accent, two lads. What a pair of pros. They brought in this new enormous fridge valued at £1,300. $13.50. I've paid no money. I cannot believe it. And they brought that in, and these lads are wizards. They had that fridge delivered within probably 27 seconds. And I was in the mood to chat. I'm like, lads, do you want a coffee? They're like, no, we got another job. All fine. Enjoy the fridge. Give us a call if there's any problems. And they were out. They were gone in 90 seconds, just like the title of that enjoyable film about car theft. A triumph. It was a great experience. I shook their hands. I said, lads, you're very good at what you do. They left me a card for feedback. I gave them a 5-star review and I name checked them in the review, which the bosses like, because they're like, this is not just a generic positive review. The customer has name checked them. And the whole thing was a great experience. So they came, they saw, they conquered. But I've still got the old fridge. So what happens next? What happened next is that I spent the afternoon zooming around on my moped, running errands, visiting my mother, who is a very, very fine lady. And I relaxed around at hers. I sat on her comfortable sofas. What is it about your parents' sofa that is so comfortable? And also their bed and most of their furniture. Why is your parents' stuff more comfortable than yours? Why is that? Why is mum's sofa so squashy? I guess it's just had lots of people sat on it over many years. See, certain things get better with age, don't they? Jeans get better with age. I used to buy used 501s and they'd been washed lots of times and worn lots of times. And the cotton was just so soft, malleable. It was like silk, almost furry. It was that sweet spot with denim, which is, it's not stiff and new, but it's not quite so old that it's brittle and about to tear. And sofas, I mean, some sofas are too old and have to be thrown away, but give me a 15, 20-year-old sofa any day over a new one that's just had uncles and aunties sat on it. Ideally overweight relatives. That will season a sofa, won't it? And a beast person is exactly what you need for the seasoning of a sofa. I don't mean flavor seasoning. I don't mean that they're going to somehow put anything on the sofa, like sort of excrete anything. I'm not saying seasoning like when you season a pan, like a wok. I mean that they're going to, I think season wasn't the right word. What are they going to do to it? They're going to pummel it. They're going to, I mean, it's a bit like seasoning, because that's what a wok, with a wok, I think you cook with it lots of times, and the idea of a wok is it gets better as it gets older because of years and years of garlic and oil and onions and chili and all those herbs and everything. The idea is it just gets better with age, a bit like those violinists that have a violin which is 100 years old and it's just improved with age, all the concerts that have been played on it. And so that's what it is with the wok. The wok is at its worst when it's brand new for a proper chef. I would argue the same for teapots. My family are Irish, and I grew up in the summer holidays. We'd go to Ireland every summer and we would have tea, and my aunties, my grandma, they would have these pots, and I think they had an inch of tannin on the inside of the teapot. It was just an entire wall of brown mucus, so that fossilized from the inside. And the tea that came out of that, absolute nectar, liquid gold, seasoned teapot. Yes, please. Woe betide anyone to use soda crystals and a scourer and actually clean that thing. I've got a little gate. I've got a very small front gate here where I live, and it has a squeak when you open it. And I love the squeak because it means I can hear if someone's coming, like the postman or anyone else. It's like an early warning system. Woe betide anyone to spray some oil on that gate, because I like the fact that it squeaks. It has improved with age and now serves a function. It's an alarm. It's a basic early warning. It is my, what do they call that thing in Israel? The dome. Is that the dome shield? I was only talking about it the other day. It's very clever. It's a defense system which puts a virtual dome over the entire country so that if missiles come across, they can sort of shoot it out of the sky. Israel Dome. I should know this. I was literally talking about it the other day. It's called the Iron Dome. There you go. Well, I've got my iron gate, and it's a bit like the Iron Dome because it squeaks very loudly when someone comes, and that's fantastic. I can hear when the kids are coming back from school or anything. It's really handy. So yes, sofas get better. There comes a point where they have to be thrown away. Same with beds. I was given my parents' marital bed as a hand-me-down. So they basically destroyed the bed, and let's not go into the gory details as to why. Let's not even go there. But this heavily used mattress was not just mattress, the whole bed was given to me. It was basically a broken bed. The bed was at an angle. It had an incline. I'm not making this up, by the way, for bants. Let me tell you, enough has happened in my life for 1,000 podcasts. So I don't need to embroider. That's my promise to you. I will never make stuff up. I just heard a sound. But it's what Larry David calls a house sound. Have you seen much Curb Your Enthusiasm? Very funny comedy. There's one episode where there's just a house sound. There's just a sound, and some people come around and they try to identify, and they just say, oh, it's the house sound. What does that mean? It could be a rat. It could be pigeons in the loft. It could be anything. But yeah, I'm just going to put it down to house sound. Anyway, I mustn't be distracted because I've got to tell you lots of things. But anyway, yeah, so I was around at my mum, sat on her comfortable. Oh, yes, so just to say I inherited a bed. It was at an angle. And my brother and I shared this double bed. And I seem to remember I would be on the up a bit. And I think I used to roll onto him, which you just don't want. You do not want that. You don't want to be rolling onto like a 17-year-old lad that's already got a little beard and stuff like that. Love my brother very much. Don't want to roll onto him in the middle of the night. That was not on my bucket list at the age of 13 or 14, however old I was, and I don't think he wanted it either. But anyway, we had an angled bed. Can you imagine? So that was the point where it wasn't good that it was old. It had reached the point of no return. My car is 14 years old, and it's improving with age because the suspension is basically knackered. So what it means is, it's not knackered, it's just broken in. It's been seasoned. I basically, when you drive around, it's just got a really squashy ride. Sort of go over road bumps and it just really squashes into it. It's kind of really nice, really mellifluous. And I was in a new Prius the other day and I found it to be a very stiff ride and you could feel every bump in the road. So my squashy old Prius, far superior. So I'm sat on my mum's really comfy sofa and we're chatting, and it's kind of in the back of my mind that the new Ali fridge guy, not the old one, the new one is going to be coming at some point to collect the fridge. And anyway, I'm chatting to my mum, the phone rings, and you know when you know who it is, I just knew that this was Ali, the new fridge guy. The phone rings and he's like, Mr. Dolan, I'm 8 minutes away. What? But I'm at my mum's. So I said, okay, well, look, I'm with my mum. I didn't quite know when you'd come because 4 till 7 is very vague, but I didn't say that, but that's what I was thinking. What you do, get yourself there and I will call you when I arrive because it's going to take me about 12 minutes. It's going to take you 8 minutes, takes me 12 minutes. So I jump on the motorbike and I fly home. And I see the van outside and I know that that's Ali. And I pull up on my motorbike and I give him a wave and a beep and he waves through the window and it's him and 2 other lads who I found out were called Mohammed and Ahmed. Although Ahmed said his name in such a mumbly way. I said, what's your name? He kind of went, I said, oh, what's your name? And literally, this lad did not have good diction. What's your name? Sorry, could you say that one more time? What is your name? Every time I ask, he's actually getting less clear. His diction is moving backwards. His diction is deteriorating the more I go. I'm in quicksand at this point. What's your name? It's not happening, dudes. I've got Mohammed, right? I've got Ali, and I've got... So I said, how is that spelt? And he said, Ahmed. Ahmed. He goes, yeah, Ahmed. Oh my God, we went through all that. He's a very nice guy who doesn't know how to say his own name. He just kind of went hop, 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 hop. So anyway, great guy. 3 great lads. Ali, the new fridge guy, is clearly the leader. He's the alpha male. He's the most confident. He has the strongest command of English. And he's wearing branded clothing. And it was I can't remember what it was. It was like AR Electricals or something. So it turns out he's a bit more of a pro than I realised. And he's got a shop not that far from where I live. What? I thought he was a bit of a chancer because he's not offering me money for this perfectly good fridge. I just thought he was whatever. Just going to take it to a market or something. Just sell it on the street randomly, guerrilla style. Just go up to people going, excuse me, do you want a fridge? You know the way that people offer you drugs. Go, do you want some drugs? They say it really quietly. Do you want a fridge? But no, he's bona fide. He's got branded clothing. It was like a kind of gilet. You know, like a kind of a puffer jacket, short sleeve puffer jacket thing with an embroidered logo on it. It was something like AR Electricals. And I would imagine A would be Ali and then R would be his surname. But the other guys, it didn't say, there was no reference to Muhammad or... So that's fine. I found Muhammad was the second most confident and Ahmed was really just a very quiet lad. But clearly you could just sense that he was a great human being. You couldn't hear that he was because of the lack of words. But anyway, it was all good. So they came in and I noticed that Ali, being the boss, didn't do any of the lifting. The 2 boys came in. Ali was supervising, which is a great role, isn't it? Supervising is basically, what that means is not doing the work and watching others do it and tell them what to do and how to do it. It's a great thing. A supervisor is bloody perfect. It's a great title. It's even got the word super in it. Who doesn't like anything that's super? You've got to love a bit of super. So here's the drill. This is not a drill. Mohammed and Ahmed have come in, and unlike the lads that came and delivered the fridge, who were very, very skilled, these boys were very nice but not skilled at all. So the first thing, they tried to put the front of the fridge on the wheelbarrow. So that means that's the cosmetic part of the fridge, the doors. And this is a very, very smart sort of black, sort of, what is it, polished aluminium type finish, okay? And you don't want bumps and scrapes on this pristine fridge. You look at the fridge every day, you don't want bumps and scratches on it. You really don't. It's actually really important. So inexplicably, they've put it onto the front. Admittedly, their wheelbarrow has got like this sort of foam wrapped around it. But I don't think that's enough, because I think you could still make a sort of compression bump on the fridge door. But anyway, look, they're taking the fridge now. It's no longer my problem. They've taken it a couple of meters on the front and then made the miraculous decision to turn the fridge around and then put the back of the fridge on the trolley. And hooray, we have. And then the other great thing was they were going to use the wheelbarrow to like go down the 3 steps from the kitchen to the living room and then out the door. And the professionals who delivered the fridge, who were gone in 90 seconds, just like the film, which is actually called Gone in 60 Seconds, but let's not worry about that. Gone in 90 Seconds was the director's cut. So the professional guys, they got the trolley down the steps with the fridge on it, which is really, that's impressive, isn't it? Oh no, they got it up. They got it up. Yeah, they used the trolley to get the fridge up. Anyway, but these boys couldn't do that. So they wound up carrying both the trolley and the fridge, which I think you don't need the trolley at that point. If you're carrying the fridge, lose the trolley. You don't have to carry. The trolley requires no carrying. The trolley does not enter the equation at this point. You're moving the fridge. Why are you carrying the extra weight of the trolley? Plus it's cumbersome. But they did. They did. So they did that. And I've got to tell you that Ahmed picked up the fridge in completely the wrong way, because when you lift something, you've got to keep your back completely straight. Will you do me a favor? Please, generally never lift stuff, because people always do injuries to themselves. And if you do, please go online and Google how to lift something correctly. But the trick is not to bend your back, because then you'll put pressure on the vertebrae. You can slip a disc. It's just the number of people that give themselves a bad back from lifting one thing once in their life. So they didn't do. Ahmed did not have his back straight. It breaks my heart to think how many fridges that he's moving wrongly, and he's got the trolley attached to the fridge as well. He's going to keep doing that. But they got it down to the kind of lower, to the living room, the lower floor, as it were. And it's back on the trolley, and they wheel it out. And then they had trouble because the van they had didn't look like it was big enough for this 2-meter fridge, because it had stuff in it already, the washing machine and other random boxes. So they spent a good amount of time rearranging their van to accommodate this. But I mean, they knew in advance they were going to be taking a 2-meter fridge, and they did not have their act together. So I don't think it was the best leadership from Ali, I've got to say. He's done nothing at this point, really. But he was a charming man. And as the fridge went in, I made a joke and said, "Do you mind if I visit it from time to time?" And he chuckled away. He had a good sense of humour. Not everyone does. And then he said, "By the way, if I get good money for it, I'll give you a share." Imagine that. And then, "Welcome to Mark Dolan." Do you know what I said? I said, "Don't worry about it. These guys have all got bills to pay." Why did I say that? I need the money. I need money. I have bills. I have debts. I actually need the money. Why did I tell him not to give me money? But I'm hoping that he'll get good money anyway and still text me. But I mean, I've slightly talked him out of it. What a numpty. I've talked myself out of it. What a prize numpty. Now listen, how are we doing for time? Let's have a quick look. This is very important. Oh, I'm using this new software and it doesn't tell me how long I've been going, which is a disaster. Well, I've worked out that we are approaching the 1 hour mark. I think we're on about 53 minutes based upon my calculations. I had to add 16 to 37. And I will tell you that took me at least 1 minute. And I had to use my fingers and work backwards with the numbers and then forwards again. And I'm still wrong. I've probably done 2 hours and haven't realized. But anyway, look, so we'll wrap this up. Let me tell you, is this the final element of the fridge saga? Yeah, I think so. I think I'll wrap it up. I could, if this was an American miniseries, we could probably stretch it over 24 episodes. But I'd rather give you a bit of value and pack it all into this show. And also closure. I think you want to get on with your life. I want to get on with my life. Lots of other things to talk to you about. In the next episode, my visit to the dump. Have I got a story for you? Not really. It's not that good, but it's all right. I've got a lot to say about the dump. So much. Right. So listen, I can't slow down. I'm trying to wrap the episode up. It's not helpful if I slow down. I've got to speed up, not slow down. So Ali's gone. I'm happy. He's going to stay in my phone. I feel that a friend has been made, and Ahmed. I might actually, if I come into money, okay, let's say that I just become a rich person. I might treat Ahmed to some elocution lessons. And we'll start with the basics like, what is your name? And see where we go from there. Mohammed doesn't need anything really. Maybe a dentist, but otherwise he's one of the good ones. And Ali is sorted. Ali is winning at life. He's a supervisor. He doesn't do anything. He doesn't give people money for fridges. He's a great entrepreneur. He's charming. He basically ripped me off. He basically he stole my fridge. The world's most charming burglar. He's just come into my house with a wheelbarrow and taken a perfectly good working fridge for no money. And I'm somehow happy about it. The guy's a genius. So the very good vibes from those boys. Good vibes from the new fridge. Good vibes from the ridiculous insurance company that decided I needed a new fridge in the first place. But we don't have to worry. It's it's a 100% a happy story. It's had a happy ending because I cannot wait to find out what happened to that fridge. Now, here's the thing. Do I go down to the shop and see Ali and ask him how it's going? How's the fridge? Is the fridge happy? Did he give the fridge 6 hours to settle? I hope so. He promised me he would. And maybe he'll tell me that he's already sold it. And that fridge is going to be in someone's house. And that fridge might be a flat share with a bunch of 20-somethings with all their various bits and bobs in there. Be a flat share where they and I've done this, where people have written their name on the milk in a marker pen. Like they've used a Sharpie to write Steve's milk. But Angela's got like semi-skimmed. No one likes that anyway. Jenny's got soy because of her kidneys. Where's this going? I'm trying to wrap up the episode. Now is not the time to either slow down or improvise and go off-piste. I will find out. I know what I'm going to do is I'm going to just pop down to the shop and have a look around and say, oh, hi, Ali. I was just in the area. Thought I'd pop over and say hello. But anyway, I'm so happy that fridge will go to a good home. It might go to a family with kids and stuff like that. The new fridge is identical to the one that's gone. But it's a different brand, so it's a new experience. It was an LG, now I've got a Samsung. Both South Korean. Excellent build quality. It looks good. We don't like the finish as much. It's black, but it's got these sort of faint lines across it, which I find a bit vomit-inducing. But it doesn't matter because we're the kind of people that put stuff on fridges. So we've got like calendars and pictures and stuff already on it. But I will say that I really like the fridge. It is completely silent. You know how some fridges are quiet and then they go a bit noisy and then they go quiet again? It doesn't do any of that. It's not intermittent. It is permanently silent. It is stealth-like. Freezer, arguably a little smaller. I think it is. I think it's a tiny bit smaller, but I don't mind because I always think that you'll use as much freezer as you've got. Do you know what I mean? If the freezer was massive, it would be full. If the freezer was tiny, it would be full. It just you always fill up the freezer, don't you? So we're just going to have to eat some of the stuff in the freezer and not buy so much and just have a bit less stuff frozen. And that's not a problem. The other thing but it means that the fridge is slightly bigger. And I'm so excited because did I tell you this before? Can I apologize if I'm going around in circles? Did I tell you this? I'll tell you again anyway. Sorry, it's been a long day. The old fridge, Kronenbourg beer, they do a pint in a can, right? It's a can and it's a pint. Normally cans were like 574 mil or something. God knows what they were, 500 mil, or, it's all kind of metric. Well, those geniuses at Kronenbourg have come up with a pint can. So it's a can and it's a pint. It's an actual British pint. So you've got a can and you could have a pint glass and you just pour your can into the pint glass and you'll have a pint. I think actually, by the way, I spent a lot of time talking about this on a podcast about 6 months ago on this show. But anyway, the old fridge, right? There was no shelf. The pint can didn't fit into the fridge. I would have to lie it down on its side. It doesn't seem right to store beer on its side. I think beer needs to be upright. I think wine is on its side, beer upright. And it never fitted. I could never put the pint can. And pint is perfect, because a pint is, the Brits are right. Okay, that is the correct measurement of beer. You've got the Spanish have these tiny little bottles. Thanks, but no thanks. I'm a busy person. I got places to be. Give me a proper drink. The French also go for these little glasses. Is it 33 centilitres or 25 centilitres? Forget it. The Germans and the Austrians go the other way with a two-pinter. They're off the charts. They've gone mad with basically a jug just for you. Everyone gets a jug. Genius. But the problem is one or two of those and it's game over. The Brits have got it right. The pint is exactly right. It's bloody perfect. Pint of milk, pint of lager, pint of blood. What's not to like? It's a perfect unit for currency. And it fits. In the new fridge, the Kronenbourg pint can fits perfectly with a little bit of space. It's got headroom. So happy. So I don't actually have any in stock, but I have checked the measurements and everything. It's going to fit. So I will at some point, even though I'm famously barely drink, but I'm going to buy 4 cans of the Kronenbourg pint cans. They're going to go into the fridge and they're going to live there. And they will just be permanently cold. And then if I have a guest, they come in. I'm like, would you like a pint? And I will have this ice cold pint of Kronenbourg straight out of the fridge, ready to go. There's nothing worse than offering someone beer and you take it out of the cupboard and you put it in the fridge and you're hoping that it will suddenly get cold. It won't. So 4 pints permanently. It means I've basically got a pub. It's like a mini pub. And because the fridge is so massive, you might think 4 pints, 4 cans is a lot, but they're quite tall. So actually they don't use much surface area. And they will go in there and there's loads of space for your meat, your vegetables. I'm very happy with the fridge. It's a happy saga. So well done, the old Ali fridge guy and the new one, Mohammed and Ahmed. Well done the other 2 lads from, shall I name check the company? Mark's Electrical. Brilliant company. I like AO. I think AO are terrific. I think Mark's Electrical are as good. There you go. I've name checked a company. I've got to go. You've got to go as well. It's been a longer episode. Do you mind? I hope not. By the way, we're now back in the swing of dropping the show on Sundays, and I'll be, all being well, I'll be sticking with that. So you won't have to wait till Monday, Tuesday. And can I tell you that the podcast numbers have been through the roof? And that's for only one reason, and it's you. So can I thank you so much for your company every week and for listening and for spreading the word. I really appreciate it. And I love doing it because I love talking to you, telling you my stories and sharing my little life tips with you. There's many more of those to come, a lot more where that came from. But really, really noticeable uptick. It's always done well, really consistent. But last week or two, a big old bump. This is very encouraging. So thank you for that. Before we go, I ought to give you a little bit of the Mark Dolan way stuff because I have more or less spent an hour telling you about my fridge. So let me power through, before we go, just some excellent life advice. First of all, there's this architect and he spent his whole life wanting to design beautiful, great buildings. And he never had the opportunity. I think he did a bit of academia. I think then he was in an office where he didn't have much input, but it was just a job. Because a lot of architects are just, they're not able to always be that creative. If they work for a big company, then they're a cog in the wheel. They're just a little, and they've got their little department doing their boring thing. So it's not always as creative and inspiring as you would think. And this guy had dreams of doing these amazing houses and these fabulous designs and didn't have the opportunity, right? But what he did is he always sketched. So he kept sketching. Every day he would sketch these amazing dream houses, and he never let go of that dream. And the way he kept the dream alive was to continue sketching, continue imagining great houses. Well, let me tell you that for one reason or another, by the time he was about 60, he suddenly started getting commissions and had his own practice and then could do these great designs. And he's like a celebrated figure now, and well done him. So that's what I want you to do. I want you to keep the dream alive. So whether it's a dream that you're going to be a chef, or you're going to be a playwright or a novelist, you're going to be a singer, you're going to be an entrepreneur, you've got a business idea, but it's not financially practical at the moment. It's not going to immediately pay the bills, but it's what you want. And you do have a job that does pay the bills. And let's be honest, we all need jobs and we all need to pay the bills. That's okay. What I want you to do is just keep that fire burning, okay? And so if, let's say, it's singing that you want, well, then you've got your normal job. Let's say you're an accountant, but you dream of being a singer. Well, then you're an accountant, that's fine. On your way to work, maybe you listen to great music that's going to inspire your singing. Maybe you're sat there on your way to work and you're on your phone looking up places that have open mic nights for singers to come and do a turn. In the evening, you can record music, put it on YouTube, find a gig somewhere, get a band together. And yes, it's not going to pay the bills because you've got a job that does that, but you're still keeping it going. Even more simply, keeping that dream of singing alive, you just can sing after work in the evening, just at home. Something I love to do is that I love to play karaoke music on YouTube. I make sure no one's at home because it's very embarrassing. But if there's a song you like, then you put it on YouTube and you just write karaoke after the song. So let's say that you like the song Rocket Man. Then if you write Rocket Man karaoke in YouTube, it will give you a karaoke version with the lyrics on the screen. So what I do when I'm on my own in the kitchen is I put YouTube through the loudspeakers in the kitchen. Little music system that I've got. Very simple, basic one, but it does the job. And I'm listening to this karaoke song, and then I can just sing along, and I find it really enjoyable and really therapeutic, and it's free. But anyway, it doesn't matter about the singing. That's just an example, but it's just that idea that you keep it going. John Grisham, when he wanted to be a best-selling author, well, it didn't happen straight away, but what he used to do is he used to get up at 5 a.m. and write for 2 hours before going to work as a lawyer. So he had his day job, but he wrote before work, and he wrote and he wrote and he wrote, and he eventually got published. So what he did is he just kept that dream alive. And yes, he was no doubt rejected by publishers and it took a long time, but he got there in the end. And the only reason why is because yes, he was persistent. Yes, he didn't give up, but he kept that dream alive. He kept the candle burning. So whatever it is that you want in your life, don't give up on it. Don't say it'll never happen. It absolutely can happen, right? Let's say you want to have the perfect body or you want to lose a ton of weight. It's 100% possible, but you just got to keep it going and do a little bit every day. And eventually you'll get the click and it's going to go crazy. And if not, by the way, let's say this this architect who did the sketching every day, if by the end of his career, it never quite happened for him, it doesn't matter because it gave him real pleasure doing that sketching. It gave him pleasure to keep the dream alive. Even if the dream doesn't come off, Keeping it alive is a gift in itself. It's immediately nourishing, just like the singer that goes to the gigs and maybe there's just 3 people there, a tiny audience, or they're just at home singing on their own. Okay, it's not the same as being the Rolling Stones, but it's not bad. It's still nice. It's still better than doom scrolling on TikTok or watching another box set. So think about what your dream is, or maybe what your dream was, and get it out of retirement. Blow the cobwebs off your dream and reignite. Okay, you have my permission to do that. Not just my permission, it's an instruction. I don't normally boss you around, but I'm going to tell you now that I want you to reignite your dreams. And every day, have a little 5-minute window. It's not too much to ask, is it? 5 minutes every day in which that dream in its own little way is indulged. It will give you pleasure. It will be good for your mental and physical health. It will improve your mood. It will make you a happier person. And it also might just nudge you into bringing that dream to reality. Have a great week. It's been great chatting to you. The fridge saga is now over, but lots more to talk about next time. Thank you for listening to the Mark Dolan Way podcast. Please tell your friends. Please tell your family. Please subscribe on YouTube if you're watching it. And if you're listening on any podcast platform, please give me a review because that helps more people find the podcast. Go and have a great week. Keep the dream alive, and I'll see you in 7 days. Bye-bye.